From the Live X Studios in New York City, CHTV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. I am Aaron Nagler, and joining me, as always, is my partner here at Cheesehead TV, Mr. Corey Behnke. I'm coming to you live from my apartment in New York City, and Corey joins us from the Cheesehead TV podcast studio, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we try to help the Packers turn the page after a couple of embarrassing losses to the New York football teams. But right now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good. We got
Robert Big Bob Tunyon.
We got the bad. We got
Matt, what the hell was that, LaFleur?
We got the ugly. We got
your Green Bay Packers. I mean, seriously, people come from literally all over the world to watch you at Lambeau Field, and you do that. That is some ugly stuff. Behnke, welcome back to New York City. Welcome back to America. How you doing, buddy?
not doing that great. I got a lot of jet lag, I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm not
You know, the Packers, I started a little bit of a rant before watch party when I was in Japan before the Jets game.
Yeah,
and I couldn't keep it going because the game started and I was going to be like, okay, well, let's reset. But
right.
I don't know what it is about this 3-3 team. They're the most annoying 3-3 Packers team I feel like I've ever experienced.
Ever? What is it about this 3-3 team?
Well, maybe it's QB1. I don't know.
Right.
Is there a more annoying NFL player than QB1?
Whew, yeah, I would go with Russell Wilson, but I feel you.
Okay. You're right. Thank you. That was so helpful, actually. Okay, I can hang my hat.
Just put that there whenever you feel it rising within you, and just remember that Russell Wilson exists.
Like, do other Packer fans feel this way, or am I the only one? Like, has he just gotten more
you are
annoying
not the
over
only one.
time?
My mentions in my inbox, in our YouTube comments, sir, you are not the only one. You are not even by a long stretch.
I was coming back. I was coming down here. I had to grab some Sennheiser headphones, and
right.
I don't understand why in 2.5 years can we not get it done on the offensive line? The offensive line used to be this unit that we just hung our hat on. We were just like, what? Everybody else
took
come
for
along.
Granted a little bit. Maybe
took for granted, 100%,
Probably
100%.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
And now, holy crap! If I watch one more highlight of Runyon getting his ass handed to him. And then it just creates this whole downfall where you're just like, wait a second. If Runyon is that bad, okay?
He's not, by the way. He's not that bad. But I hear you. I feel what you're saying.
He's bad.
Like, he was bad in that game. He is not a bad player.
Bro.
Newman's a bad player.
Newman's right there. Here's the thing,
Newman's worse.
But if these guys are this bad, okay? What kind of lack of self-scouting has this team done? So I'm watching JT O'Sullivan, quarterback school. Okay,
have you read
I highly recommend. Huh?
Have you read the script?
No. As a matter of fact, here's what's hilarious. I had to log in as the intro was starting to the script. Like I almost didn't make the intro. Seriously. I was like, wait, what am I have to say? And then I literally was like, okay. So I'm watching. Oh, do we talk about it later? Oh,
we'll talk about him later in the show.
Well, I highly recommend everybody watch it. Although I do want to say something about JT O'Sullivan. Guy had to be the worst quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. So the fact that this guy was such a bad quarterback and he actually knows a lot about it, it's hilarious. It's that whole those who can't teach.
No, but you don't have the physical gifts. That's the thing. It's like Sean Payton was a quarterback. Mike Holmgren was a quarterback, but they couldn't play at the NFL level. But they were great coaches, right? So it's like, I get it. Like, I get JT O'Sullivan being really good at explaining the game. You know, he played at a high level.
For the
He was not
Omaha
a great
Beef,
player.
bro.
He did.
Omaha
He did
Beef.
indeed. He did indeed.
Got to give a
Hey,
shout out
enough
to
of this.
Carry the G here. Carry the G.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Get some Carry the G. I love it. All right, wait. Before we go, let's stop talking about this nonsense. Let's stop talking about the offensive line and what's not working and QB1 being annoying. Like, all that. Let it all go, and let the hotness just wash over you. It's time for the hotness. That's right. The hotness is here, where we try to highlight something hot that happened in the past game. It was a little difficult this week, not going to lie. Wasn't a whole lot to talk about, but I will highlight this play by Allen Lazard. Jeremy, roll this nonsense, because let me tell you this. Look at this catch. Get that separation, take that hit.
Sick.
It doesn't matter. Hang on to the ball. You know the safety's coming. You know you're getting leveled. It doesn't matter. I make miracles happen. And look at this offensive line. Look at the time. Look at the pocket. Everything about that is hot. So there you go.
A lot of drops by the wide receivers this game, too, by the way.
Yes. On simple plays, too, like on slants and stuff. Like, man, they were not ready for this game. And I hate to say it.
It's the little things. Yep.
It's the little things. And I hate to say that taking the bye after the London trip may have paid dividends, but they didn't want to. They wanted to save it for hopefully later in the year, and that's what they got. So hopefully down the line, they've ripped off a bunch of wins and they get that much needed break late in the year and then get revved up for a playoff run. Hopefully that materializes. And this whole episode with London and then coming back and losing to the Jets, that all gets forgotten, right? That's the dream. But right now, sitting in it doesn't feel too good. Does not feel too good. Let's get to some Packers news, shall we? Sammy Watkins is back at practice, Corey. And that's no sure thing that he's going to play, but he's back off IR and practicing. So that's good. He's practicing. That's a good thing. There's no set, he's definitely going to play or anything like that, but given the banged up nature of their wide receiving core, it's nice to see him back at practice. Speaking of banged up wide receivers, Randall Cobb avoided a season-ending injury, which I think you'll agree after watching him literally with tears in his eyes leaving Lambeau Field on Sunday.
That was scary.
Undoubtedly thinking that his season was over. The fact that his season is not over and he will be back eventually is freaking great. I mean, especially that he was the leading receiver in London, for God's sakes. I mean, who knows how many balls he might have seen against the Jets if he had been able to stay on the field. But just good that he's not done for the year. And then finally, the Packers claimed Luke Tenuta from the Colts, an offensive tackle, and signed Kwan Baker to the practice squad. And Corey, I had to get Kwan Baker in there for you because I know what a huge fan of practice squad signings you are.
Literally zero people care. No one cares.
All right, you know what they do care about? This offense. What the hell is going on? And fixing the offensive line. Underline, italicize, offensive. I got to say, I think that's probably the worst performance by a Packers offensive line as a collective unit that I have seen. I want to go back like 5-6 years, maybe. I mean, just as a whole. And it wasn't just like Quentin Williams, like manhandling guys and running guys over. Like that happened. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. That definitely occurred. But just as a unit, like the twists and the stunts, which for a normal, what we've, again, to your point, have become accustomed to from a Packers offensive line, that's like day one install stuff, But there was no communication. There was very little kind of help and the ability to kind of, okay, well, my guy's like is stunting, so I should definitely either give my guy a heads up. I think there was one play where David Bakhtiari, you almost see him kind of look at Runyon and go, a little help, a little heads up. Can I get a little shout out before this guy comes tearing around the edge? So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do this week to try and get back to basics, so to speak, whatever building blocks they want to build on. But I'll tell you what, Corey, I hope they make some changes, but I'm also going to tell you I'm not going to be shocked if they come out there against the Commanders on Sunday with the same 5 guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the idea that, we're just going to work through it.
This team has in my opinion, this team has zero, whether it's QB1 or coach, this season and some of last season, they have no ability to self-scout. Just zero ability. Because if you're actually self-scouting, you're going to change something. You're going to change your scheme. You're going to change,
whatever your approach is.
I get Rodgers saying, and in McAfee's show, he qualified what he meant by this simplifying. Look,
simplification.
The guy has a hard job, right? If you're the quarterback, you don't want to throw your entire offensive line under the bus, right?
Right.
So you come up with things like simplify. You come up with these. But there's this one play that JT O'Sullivan, I know we're going to talk about this later, but there's one play where it's a play action to the left, but Rodgers needs to throw it to a guy 3 seconds to his right. So as the play's designed, it's good, but the layer of complexity and the fact that Rodgers doesn't move fast enough to his right and thinks he has 4 seconds to actually throw the ball goes back to their ability to not self-scout. That's the wrong play. And also, there's wide receivers that are like 3 yards within each other and like people aren't running their routes. And I get that. But
we'll be talking about that. Yeah, definitely.
It's just like.
But to your point, Corey, the idea of, okay, we know the Jets are really formidable up front. We know Williams is a problem. We know we're going to have issues, even if there isn't the miscommunication, right? Even if you handle the stunts, they're a very good defensive front that's probably going to give you problems. Why on God's green earth are you calling these shots and these plays for wide receivers 20 yards down the field when you know you're going to have problems blocking it up? You know what I mean? That's what drives me insane. That's where I'm like, to your point, why are you not adjusting what you're week after week after week? Oh, well, we're just a tick away. Well, you've been a tick away for 5 weeks. At some point, when do you kind of capitulate and say, okay, you know what? When we dink and dunk, we're actually pretty effective.
I don't think
But when we try to go downfield,
I don't think they can. I don't think this team can dink and dunk.
They did in London. That touchdown drive in London was fucking phenomenal. And it was just paper cut, all the way down the field.
Yeah, I forgot how nice that first half was.
Her first half was great. But to your point, I think they can. I just think they don't want to. Between 12 and Matt, I think they want to go downfield. They want to push the ball downfield. And I understand that from the sense of they know if they can block it up and if they, execute, which is kind of the watchword this week. Yeah, they probably can on the odd chance that they get it blocked up. But with like the regularity they call these plays, you're not that team. You don't have that team. And that's what's frustrating.
Which that is the whole self-scout thing. Because if you're honest about who you are, you start from who you are, not who you want to be. Like it's this whole, like everybody uses the word manifest in dreams, and that's all great, right? You can manifest things, you can have dreams.
Right. Yep.
But you got to win games. And if you're just manifesting, you ain't going to win games.
Dreams don't equal wins. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
I just think that I blame more of it on QB1. I'm sorry. I'm not done with QB1. And no, people that are saying on the chat it has to do with his politics. Fuck you. It's not about his politics. It's not about anything like that. It's about
why would it be about his politics?
Because I see people putting that. It's not about his politics or his immunization or whatever the hell. Who gives a shit about all that? All I care about is the Packers winning football. What bothers me about QB1 is it's everybody's problem but his problem. That's what it feels like.
Oh, but Corey, he said he had to play a tick better.
A tick.
It's
a lot more than that.
Raising. Yes.
If you're looking at the world and you're like, oh, I can just drop back, and it goes to the intellectualization of offense instead of just getting back to simple football. Like, what's wrong with playing simple football? I don't understand. These guys make this shit way more complicated than it needs to be because they have to be perceived as being smart. You know what? I run a company. I don't care if people think I'm smart. I don't give a shit. As long as my employees are happy and my clients are happy and they all think I'm a fucking idiot, fine.
And you're successful. Fine. It's fine.
That's fine. Yes.
Exactly. Right.
And there's this whole thing where he has to be perceived a certain way for them to be successful instead of them just winning the fucking game. That's what's getting old. It's just getting so fucking old.
Man, you're preaching right now, because I buy that 1,000%. The idea that, and now look, it's always in concert with Matt. I can never put it all on 12, right? Because Matt is the head coach, and I understand that Aaron is the 4-time MVP, superstar, etc., and you're going to acquiesce to that, obviously, right? But at the same time, he wasn't a 4-time MVP prior to Matt arriving. He was a 2-time MVP who was really, his game had started to fall off and then was kind of rebuilt by the head coach. And I think that head coach right now has to say, look, we don't have the horses for this kind of race. We don't. And until that happens, I don't think much is going to change. Now, maybe it does. Who knows? Maybe starting this Sunday, they start realizing, like you say, who they are rather than what they want to be. But, and I get it. I saw all the clips this week, like, oh, they're so close. They're so close. They've been close. They've been, quote, so close for weeks. For weeks.
You can say they're so close, but with all the uncharacteristic, but I hope uncharacteristic when I say this.
Right.
You got the wide receiver drops. You got A.J. Dillon fumbling the ball. Holy moly. That was just...
As Kuhn pointed out, that's on Rodgers. It's too high. It's like, it's in his breastplate. It's got to be in his belly. Like, shout out, and by the way, shout out to John Kuhn for pointing that out on the broadcast. Like, that was, I mean, that's his bud, right? And he's saying that's on Aaron.
So you got all these little things, and you can't just, you can't just put it off jet lag, especially because, like,
right.
Dude,
no, I feel you.
Those guys left Tottenham Stadium at 4:00, and they were in Green Bay by 1 a.m.
Yep.
Like,
before 1.
They're not like you and I, who we gotta like go to the airport and go through immigration and like all the custom shit. No, no. And 5 hours jet lag is nothing. 14 hours jet lag, that's something. But 5 hours jet lag, come on. You had 6 days to get over it.
Especially a week later. Yeah, I feel but here's the thing.
They were clearly not ready for the Jets. That was very obvious.
At all. It was embarrassing. And now here's the other embarrassing part. You talk about being who you are. Talk about not trying to be something you're not, but like featuring your players, your good players. Say, oh, I don't know, your superstar running back.
Aaron Jones.
The fact that they continue to ignore Aaron Jones, especially early in games, is downright criminal. And then Matt, you guys know, anybody watching, anybody listening knows, we love Matt. We love Matt LaFleur. But if I have to listen to Matt one more time post-game, get asked about Aaron Jones not getting the football and him saying, well, it's not good enough or something we got to look at. It's that meme. We're all trying to find the guy who did this. Like, you're the guy. You're the dude responsible for getting your superstar the ball. And if it takes sitting 12 down and going, look, the first 12, 15 plays, whatever our openers are, which, by the way, against the Jets, not one of them, because they went 3 and out, featured Aaron Jones.
That's crazy.
Out of the first 15, you got to feature at least 5 to 8 of those plays have to go to Aaron Jones. They have to. But what are we doing? Like this, the Jones thing is killing me. It's absolutely killing me.
It's
insane. We're trying to run the offense, and Rodgers is talking about Peyton Manning and not wanting motion. He likes the static look because he gets the picture. I get all that. Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison, my guys. He had Edgerrin James behind him. It's like Edgerrin James got the football. Get the ball to your back. It's killing me. It's killing
somebody said in the chat, if the line sucks, how can Jones get anything done? And a good running back can overcome those things.
Have you seen the 5 yards per carry average?
Yeah.
They can be effective. And here's the other thing. You don't have to run the ball. Yeah. Throw it to him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and here's the thing. When we had Devontae Adams, we had no problem featuring him in our offense. Interesting how that works.
Funny how that works. They just hate running backs. They hate running backs. It's killing me.
They hate them so much they drafted one in the second round.
Yeah, right. And then promptly ignored him. I will say, now all this ranting aside, because I know I get it. Look, it doesn't matter, right? As someone just said, as you were, whoever was in the chat, man, if the offensive line sucks, what can you do? I understand that. At some point, the coaches can only do so much, right? The coaches can scheme it up. They can have grand plans, grand ideas, all the things they want to do can only go so far as the execution on the field. And to Rodgers' point post-game, I did buy what he was selling in the sense of like simplifying, meaning we need to execute better. And I know the guys in the room on Monday talking to Matt, I know Hubert kind of took this angle of, well, Aaron doesn't like motion and he wants things simplified. Matt LaFleur's offense is predicated on motion. What are they going to do, guys? I didn't see it through that lens at all. I saw Aaron saying, like, look, the coaches are trying to do their best and trying to give us a plan that'll work. We need to execute. And, that's the game of football. Without execution across the board.
He qualified that on McAfee. He qualified what he was trying to say, which had nothing to do with motion or anything to do with scheme. It 100% had to do with execution.
I mean, it's just frustrating when, all the film breakdowns that come out after every game, and it's like you can see where things are meant to go or designed to go, etc. And one dude is just off. And this is not just on the offense. This is both sides of the ball. But it's like, my guys, we're going into week 7. At some point, you got to execute. At some point, it's not preseason anymore. It's not, we're early in the season yet. We're still kind of figuring it out. We're kind of, finding our identity. No. Right now, your identity is you're a middle of the pack football team that doesn't do anything well.
Although I saw this little green shoot for you because I know I've been.
I love it when you go green shoots. All right, give it to me.
Somebody on TikTok was saying that they were like Kansas City and the Bills are the two best teams, right? And then somebody was like,
in that mix, but I hear you.
The Patriots could beat the Bills. So then I was like, wait a second. We beat the Patriots.
We did. We didn't.
Let's go. So there you go.
I mean, Zappy was just like kind of like thrown into the mix, so who knows? But I feel you. Let's flip it over to the defense, by the way. Let's talk about this run defense, which, all camp I thought, there's something there. They got the horses. I think they're going to turn this thing around. This past game was the 5th time the Packers defense allowed at least 120 plus rushing yards to an opponent. Ooh. The one caveat I will throw out there is the Bears game where they were up by multiple scores and were kind of allowing them to run in the fourth quarter. That's the one game where I'm like, okay, I kind of understand it. But over 120 yards on the ground 5 times this year. They are not getting it done against the run at all. And, I understand the too high safety thing, the shell they want to play, blah, blah, blah. But man, it's been disheartening and dispiriting.
I mean, can we just say the truth here? Joe Barry is not a good coach. I'm sorry.
I mean, the longer it goes, the more that kind of reveals itself, doesn't
I hate to be that Packer fan who's wants to go through defensive coordinators. But, bro, we literally have some of the best cornerbacks in the league, and we are so afraid to play press man. And you look at the Jets playing press on us like 80% of the time or something and kicking our ass, and you're like, why can't we do that?
Well, what's funny is that they started finally to play a little bit more man, a little more press. They had Jair on the best. The Jair was going into the slot on third down. Jair was following the best corner. And then Joe today in his media availability is like, well, when your players come to you and start saying and suggesting things, you want to listen. It's like it took your players coming to you to say, oh, yeah, maybe I should utilize my guys and play to their strengths.
So you're
What
like
are we
40
doing
some
here?
years old, and you've been in the league for how long? And you're gonna leave it on your 20-some-year-old player to tell you, "Wow."
I just don't get it. I don't understand. Again, be who
Yeah.
you are,
But again,
not
like
who you want to be.
but again, that goes back to the self-scout thing, right? It's like, are you looking what other
1,000%.
teams are
Yes.
doing? Like, are you just playing the same shit you always played your whole life? Like, what's funny is we have one of the most innovative, creative minds on offense, and we have one of the most conservative milquetoast coordinators on defense.
What's so depressing is that Denver's defensive coordinator is so good, and he was in the mix with Joe Barry interviewing for the Packers job. And
shit, I'd rather have Jim Leonard than damn Joe Barry right now.
Holy cow! Wow, that's some breaking news right there. Corey Behnke pining for Jim Leonard. You're pining for a terrorist. You're with the terrorists, sir. That's amazing. This is a banner day at Cheesehead TV. Holy cow! I can't believe I just heard those words come out your mouth.
I think if you polled like 1 million Packer fans,
right,
999,500 would choose Jim Leonard over Joe Barry.
I do not. Well, here's a question for you though. That means going back to Mike Pettine's scheme. Are you down with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Just making
Dude,
sure.
Mike Pettin would have played more press than this guy. Jesus,
that's
Lord
correct.
thy birth.
That's true. That's true. Hey, speaking of which, can we get Rasul Douglas outside? Like, I get it. I understand you want a bigger guy inside, and they finally put Jair in the slot on third down, etc. Okay, I'm all in. But, man, if it takes benching Eric Stokes to put Douglas opposite Jair when they only have 2 corners on the field, do it. Do it. Eric Stokes is still in his rookie contract, and he's getting killed on these deep over routes. He got a reprieve against the Jets because they can barely throw the ball, but Douglas is an absolute fucking dog outside. He is not a slot guy. Stokes continues to have trouble with some of these. Now, I think if Joe would let him press a little bit more, get physical guys at the line of scrimmage, maybe he'd be a little better off. But if this is the style you're going to play, let Douglas play outside in your base set. Please, for the love of Jesus, I'm begging you. He's a dog when he's got like the perimeter, when he's got the sideline as help. He is so good. When you put him inside, that's not his game. Not his game. Be who you are. Again, theme of the show. Be who you are.
Well, and also, Devondre Campbell, what is going on, bro?
I mean, Packers need better linebacker play in general, whether it is Devondre Campbell, whether it is Quay
Devondre
Walker.
Campbell was our savior.
Holy cow.
And what
yes, he was an all-pro last year, and this year he has more missed tackles through 6 games than he had all last year.
Wow.
He's out of position too much. He has he's just
Quay Walker,
he's got
here's the thing. He's a rookie. Come on,
yeah.
He's a rookie.
No, I get it.
Even a first-round draft pick.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Dude, oh my God. I got so triggered on Twitter.
Oh, no. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I was going to ask about this.
Why do people think they can talk about how good a draft pick is after 6 games?
Because they're morons.
Why do people do this? Why are they dumb? I don't understand. And like Peter Bukowski, he fans the flames of it. He talks about value about a first-round draft pick, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Getting engagement on Twitter. That's what he's doing.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's incredibly annoying.
I know. I'm aware. That's what it is.
Quay is going to be. I agree. Quay is going to be good. It's just
I think Quay is going to be good eventually, but like right now, it's hit and miss. It's very inconsistent. He looks like a rookie. No doubt about it. And I know everyone hopes and prays that your first pick in the draft is going to come in and light it up, right? It's going to change the fortunes of your franchise. And that just ain't the way it is, especially picking at 22. Like, I get if it's a top 5 pick, you want a guy who's going to, like, completely change your identity. But that's not happening at 22, for God's sakes.
No. Well, and you know, on the defensive side, you got to give a shout out. Rashawn Gary.
Oh, my God.
Jair
with
Alexander.
With a toe injury.
Rashawn Gary and Jair Alexander are just playing
Jair's,
lights out
oh my God.
football.
Jair's that
incredible,
guy,
the
man.
kind of
He
football
shows
they're
up.
playing.
He's so physical. He's so energetic. God, I love watching him play. Like that hit he had on Barkley in London. Are you kidding me? When he comes and just like literally decleats him into the sideline. I love this kid. I love him so much. And by the way, shout out to Jair for his work with the Packers for the Toys for Tots program in Green Bay. If you didn't see, I put it up on Twitter. He's basically offering $23 for every toy that's donated, up to $200,000. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, all around Lambeau throughout this holiday season. Check it out. It's dope. But if that's just like side salad to the main course, which is his play on the field, which is fucking phenomenal. I love Jair. You talk about, hey, you want to talk about draft value? Brian Gutekunst traded all over the map and then landed Jair with his first ever draft pick. That's pretty good.
Well, and Rashawn Gary, like the play that we're getting out of that guy, it's like
so good.
What's crazy to me is if we just had one more, we got Kenny and Rashawn, if there was just one more guy like that on the front defensive line, I personally feel like you would not have had the debacle at London. You wouldn't have had this demoralizing defeat near the end.
Yeah,
because you'd have a trio that could take over games. And we're getting so close to that. To me, that's what's like, it feels like the defensive line is getting to this close part where they could take over games. And it just hasn't happened yet.
I hear you there. I will say this, and this is something I want to talk. It's not in the script, but I do want to talk about this real quick. The fact that game after game, especially this last game, look at the Jets game, defense lights out for about 3 quarters, right? And then kind of not falls apart, but certainly gives up, like the drive where everyone in the building knows they're going to run the ball, and they run the ball all the way down the field, right? And I know Matt gave him a shout out for keeping him out of the end zone. Great. You just bled the whole clock, so there's no chance for a comeback. But this team, as of yet, I don't think has played one game where we've seen truly complimentary football. Maybe the Bucs game. And that's only because of the performance of the special teams, where they kept continuously pinning Tom Brady deep. But outside of that, that was something Matt used to talk about a lot. Complimentary football. If you're out there against the Jets and you're a defensive coordinator, i.e. Joe Barry, and you've held them somewhat scoreless for the majority of the game, I'm sorry. I have a hard time getting upset that the defense gave up something at the end when you know the opponent has the entirety of their playbook still open to them because the score is what it is and it's so close because your offense can't do jack shit. Like, at some point, your offense
100%.
has to help.
But
London, too.
But this is the
London,
thing.
too.
But
They
this
give up
London, oh my God, 3 and out.
To a
they
touchdown,
go 3
and
passes.
3 and out.
They go 3 passes in London. What the hell are you doing? You're winning the game and you go 3 passes.
3 deep passes.
What are you doing?
And I understand their thinking and their philosophy, and I understand everything they said afterwards about why they did it and what they liked those calls, quote unquote. But man, complimentary football, help your defense out. That is where this team is absolutely killing me. The fact that there is absolutely zero complimentary football happening. Week after week after week. That's what's killing this team, and that's what's killing me. I mean, there are a lot of things killing me, but that is killing me. Let's look ahead to this Washington game, speaking of killing me, because Taylor Heinicke is getting the start, Corey, who ran all over Lambeau last year, even though the Packers got the W. So Packers avoid Carson Wentz, although they probably wish they were playing Carson Wentz because he's terrible. Heinicke's got some legs, and he adds a dimension with his legs that I'm not saying is going to give Packers tons of problems, but could definitely. It gives you another wrinkle, gives you another thing to worry about. Kid could not because he's good, put the team on his back or anything, but it's another problem to worry about. The other thing to look for in this game is Kendall Fuller is not even their most problematic defensive back because I think they benched William Jackson or are looking to trade him after signing him to a free agent deal not long ago. But I think Dobbs versus Fuller is going to be a big-time match in this game. I think Dobbs will get the better of that matchup, and I think the Packers will target Fuller with Dobbs in this game. I think they match up well for the Packers, and that is something to look for. Unfortunately, that will require some blocking up front, and this is another very tough defensive front. You talk about the Jets getting after it.
Great.
Washington last year in Lambeau was no joke, and I'm telling this defensive front, if anything on this team is give the Packers problems this week, it'll be basically the front seven of the Commanders. They're no joke, and this is yet another hopefully a come to Jesus moment where the Packers are like, yeah, let's get the ball out of Aaron's hands quickly. Let's get the ball to our running backs. Let's consistently move the ball down the field, and let's go and get the hell out of there with a W. That's
speaking of the Commanders. So before the Jim Irsay announcement, after the so after the New York Times article, but before the Irsay announcement, right?
Right. Yep.
I had pegged this 24-person vote that they need to force Snyder out at 8%. After the Irsay announcement, I feel like we're getting a little closer to 18%. What do you think?
Yeah, we're getting there. The thing is the 24 vote thing is kind of a misnomer because yes, they need to vote, but when they vote, then it goes legit. It goes to a trial where they have to somebody has to come forward and make a case. Yeah,
tell me about the trial.
Serious. They have to make a case, which will probably in this instance is pretty clear. It'll be Irsay. Has to put forth a case for why the team needs to be taken away from said owner, and then
there's a million cases.
I know, right? But it's like Tyrion. Remember in Game of Thrones when Tyrion goes on trial? It's like that essentially, but it's a little different from the sense of who's judging.
I was about to say, are they going to battle it out? So you get to see Dan Snyder and
then
Jerry
Dan
Jones
Snyder demands a trial by combat, right?
But apparently, what's funny to me is the take that I'm getting is that Jerry Jones does not like Dan Snyder. Is that true?
I don't know no. I mean, I don't think he likes Dan Snyder.
Because did you see this report where Jerry Jones said "fuck off" to
the Patriots
owner
Kraft? Yeah.
That was interesting. I always thought Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft were on the same page on everything.
No, I think it's more so there are a number of owners. Don't ever forget that Jerry Jones wants to get rid of the salary cap. Don't ever everything you hear from Jerry Jones should be viewed through that lens. That guy wants more than anything to demolish what has made the NFL what it is, which is hilarious to me. But I think Jerry Jones has a begrudging I'll deal with Dan Snyder because Snyder's just as awful as he is, essentially.
But you know what's funny is I think the undoing of Snyder, and back to that New York Times article, I believe the undoing of Snyder will be his inability to get governments to be able to give him a new stadium. That's going to be his undoing. Because the NFL wants a new stadium for DC.
Yes, of course they do. I mean, here's the other problem. Washington is such a great franchise in the sense of their history, their fan base. I know so many Washington fans that absolutely fucking hate him and wish that his team would get taken away and or he would sell, right? They have such a great history. And if you gave them or they built a new stadium, it would be fucking awesome. And people would go,
yeah.
No one goes. You can guarantee this Sunday that place will be packed with Packers fans.
Full of Packer fans.
Absolutely packed with Packers fans.
100%.
And it's the worst stadium experience in the NFL. The worst.
Well, and that's awful. The thing. Any other owner, literally the day they get a new owner, I bet the federal government announces a subsidy for an entire new stadium.
I mean, they'll get a new stadium. Whoever, if Snyder's out, they'll get a new stadium. Whatever way they end up getting it, but it will happen. There's zero doubt about that. All right,
the other thing that I want to say, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. The other thing I want to say is, okay, and I know that I'm considered I put this tweet out, but is it in the Packers' best interest organizationally from 30,000 feet to be against Dan Snyder as an owner? And here's why. Because
that's a really good question.
If they vote against Dan Snyder, the one thing that all the owners are afraid of on this vote is it opens up the door to other owners being voted out.
And or other owners having their dirt dragged out into the public light. And I'm not saying that's Green Bay specific. Obviously, I'm not worried.
I don't think that's Green Bay's, but imagine a scenario where Green Bay gets instead of Green Bay moving, right? Because if Green Bay can't move, right? But imagine if the owners potentially voted out Green Bay.
That's a very long, involved narrative that would have many layers.
I'm just saying, if you're the executive committee and the president, I'm just saying, I'm looking at
here's the thing.
As what's my best interest?
I will say, traditionally, like through history, I'm talking like 100 years now, and especially, obviously, modern history, where the NFL is what it is, and Packers are represented by their president and CEO, whether it was Harlan back then, whether it's Mark Murphy now. Traditionally, and Ron Wolf wrote about this in his book, traditionally, they follow the pack almost always.
Right.
Like it's always 100%. About we're going to go with a majority. We're not going to make waves.
24 people are voting. We're voting with the 24
If they can find, if there are 24 votes to bring Snyder to like trial or whatever, I think that, yes, they would go that way simply because it's a majority. Like that's their kind of fallback default setting more often than
not. Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, roll it.
This week in the Packer blogosphere.
That's right. It's this week in the Packer blogosphere, the return of that venerable series. Corey, you were hot to trot even before you even read the script on JT O'Sullivan and the QB School. People, if you are not following the QB School and or consuming JT's content on YouTube, and this isn't even Packer specific, however, he does do a great job kind of breaking down dispassionately whatever's going on with the Packers offense, whether it was off the playoff game and Aaron Rodgers in that setting or the Packers offense coming off that Jets game. Cannot recommend it enough. He does a phenomenal job. Follow him on Twitter. What's funny is that like I've been watching his YouTube stuff forever. I didn't even think about following him on Twitter until this week. Great stuff. Like really, really good. Can't recommend it enough. And Corey alluded to this clip that I wanted to show.
Oh my Lord!
And this is the shot. This is the shot up the right sideline to Aaron Jones that is incomplete. Needed a better throw, as JT intimates, no doubt about it. But he also points out other issues that are like continuous within the Packers offense. Jeremy, roll it.
So let's acknowledge that this is where the ball goes. It's not the greatest throw in the world. Okay, that happens. Now, we've got quads the rest of the way here. Okay, so 4 eligibles over here. This route by the number 4 eligible. 1, 2, 3, 4, count outside in. This, to me, whatever this is not good enough. I'm guessing it's supposed to be an over, and he just kind of shallows it off. Why does that matter? That matters because if we didn't like this, let's pretend like we don't like this matchup. So now we're going to work this drive concept. We're going to get a rub by the number 3, and then we're going to try to get a runaway by the number 2. So he's coming out underneath it. Well, the spacing here between the number 4 on whatever that is with the shallow from the number 2, they're right on top of each other. This is a perfect opportunity for this guy to try to rub the number 2 defender and get a runaway here. But again, look at the spacing. So this, again, another example of we've got things that are not making sense to our guys. There are no routes that you run where you're 2-3 yards apart, all in front of the sticks.
It's so good, and he does tons of this. Like it's so good.
The best
what I
one
love about
the best one is the one where he's hands off. He hands off to Jones on a play action, but then he talks about the time that it takes for him to turn around to see the play, and by the time he has that, he has a guy in his face, and how the scheme makes sense. But if Rodgers doesn't go faster, it never is going to work.
Right. I mean, what I love about everything he does is how measured it is. Like, I understand he's not a fan. He's an analyst, a true analyst. And I know a lot of people were kind of tweeting me today about the Orlovsky piece on NFL Live, which was good. It was really good. But it's so loud and there's music. And it's like he's got to get through a lot of He's got to get through a lot of information really quickly because they're on a timer, because of TV, whatever. But JT's channel is so good because it's so
yeah.
matter of fact and very kind of lays everything out in multiple kind of layers, and I just love it. So if you're not following JT's channel, do it. You will not.
I don't know
I
don't know
really
who I
stuff.
like worst, Peter Bukowski or Dan Orlovsky. I have to really.
At least
think
Orlovsky
about that.
played in the league and knows ball, man.
Bro, he played for the Lions. That doesn't count, bro.
It absolutely does. If you played in the NFL, any one of the 32 teams, it absolutely counts. What are you talking about?
My favorite clip that everybody posts every time he posts something, my favorite clip
when
is
he goes out of bounds.
When he goes out of bounds and gets the safety, it's like, bro, see space. So nice.
See space.
I love it. See space, bro.
In other environs here in the blogosphere, Corey and I are going to be on TV. That's right.
We are?
Saturday night after Saturday Night Live
right.
in major markets. If you're in Green Bay, it's on at like 4 a.m. or whatever, so you probably won't miss it. But in the most major television markets, right after Saturday Night Live, there will be a show on Saturday night called Free Agent Fan, where a fan who has no affiliation has to choose between two bitter rivals. Last week, I think, was the premiere. I think they did Eagles-Giants. I'm not sure. But this week, it's Bears versus Packers. We have no idea who this guy picks. We have no clue. But there is a dude in dire peril needing to choose between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. And Corey and I got to be part of the team trying to convince this dude to choose the Green Bay Packers to be his team. Saturday night, Jeremy, roll it.
So this is where we do our podcast. Hi, my name is Corey Behnke.
Hi, I'm Aaron Nagler,
and I'm a
diehard Green Bay Packers fan.
So this is where it all started. 2007 from Inwood, Manhattan. Cheesehead TV, I started with my best friend, Aaron Nagler.
We were diehard Packers fans who didn't live anywhere near Wisconsin.
We had a daily conversation on the phone.
Knock down, drag out,
shout over each other.
Full-throated fights about the Packers all the time.
And we just were like, what if we turn this conversation we have into a podcast?
Hell no. Packers number one.
Tell me true, Nagler.
Packers number one, baby.
Nagler.
Packers number
Who's
one.
number one on your power ranking?
That'd be the Packers.
Packer Transplants, our podcast was born.
No matter the fact that Corey has moved back to Green Bay, I still live in New York City. We're as diehard now as we ever were.
This is Lambeau, baby, yeah. I like to say Lambeau Field's my lake, so this is my lake house. Titletown, Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's an incredible historical piece of Americana.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think Packers is family.
The best part of being a Packers fan is the community and the people of Wisconsin.
Go, Pack, go!
The idea of being bonded by something. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what you do, you're always welcome as a Packers fan.
Saturday night, baby. And it will also be streaming on Peacock the day after. So
let me tell you this:
if you can't
if he
catch
doesn't,
it live,
if whoever it is doesn't pick the Packers, NBC is dead to me. Okay, the entire network, including Peacock. I know they don't care. I'm just one person, but
they don't care. The dude seems nice. I don't know. I haven't met him, but I've heard a lot from the producer who hooked us up. She was Jen. Shout out to Jen. Matt Eisman is the host of this show, which I didn't even realize until we saw some stills. There's Matt with the fan in question. Matt, funnily enough, I know Matt from back in the day at Bleacher Report. He auditioned to be the host at BR. Love Matt, and he's phenomenal. He does American Ninja Warrior. Obviously, he's like kind of in the stable, so to speak, at NBC. Hope this guy picks the Packers, because I can't imagine picking the fucking Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that's trash. I picked the
Saturday
Lions
night,
over the Bears.
Right? Saturday night after SNL, or streaming on Peacock the next day. Make sure you check it out to see Corey, myself, and hopefully this dude picking the right choice. We'll see. Hey, Corey, we have not had a show since we were in London,
Mm-hmm.
which is, understandable.
Dude, London was epic. Besides the Packers
besides
losing,
the game, right?
Besides the
London
besides
was
the game,
fucking amazing.
how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Right? No, but come on, how amazing was London?
That was incredible. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I've never been to that. This is all of the people that showed up at Dog and Duck to meet us.
That was absolutely nuts.
Nuts. They had to get a security guard from like London to like push us back onto the sidewalk because cars were trying to go
spilling out to the street and people were trying to pass by. What was nuts?
And it was so funny because we had all these people from Milwaukee like 2 weeks earlier. We had like 60 people show up. So I'm in my head, I'm like,
launch,
oh yeah, we'll have 60 people. It'll be cool. It'll be awesome. And then we show up, and I didn't even have my video camera ready. Rachel and I didn't have our video cameras ready. We were like, who are all these people? Why are there all these people outside this bar that we're going to?
Well, what's funny is I saw the Packers. I saw Packers hats. I saw Packers things. And I'm like, well, the Packers are in London this week, so of course there's lots of Packers fans.
Yeah.
But it was like in an area where there are lots of pubs, and this is the only pub that had tons of Packers fans. So I was like, this can't be for us. But then in my mind, I'm like, who else? Like, why else are they there, Aaron? And then we walked up, and the place went nuts. It was so crazy. Great. I cannot begin to thank every single person that came out to the Dog and Duck enough. Because, Corey, as you said, it was surreal, man. It was hearing from people all over the world, like South America, Germany, Sweden, Japan,
Brazil,
India.
Paraguay,
someone came from India, Brazil.
Uruguay.
It was not. I mean, everywhere around the world. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Then what was crazy is just like on the street, like going to the Packers Everywhere party. And then like, dude, that was what was crazy. Like we're at Packers Everywhere and Charlie Barron's is there. And we were actually more recognized than Charlie Barron's, which does not exist in the US. Like Charlie Barron's is a freaking, in my mind, Charlie Barron's is a celebrity. Love the guy. We're walking across and I literally took 40 selfies at Packers Everywhere. And I was like, what is going on right now? This is crazy.
Happening? Yeah, it was definitely a weekend I will never forget. I can't thank you enough for, having me along, Cheesehead TV, making the trip, because we didn't need to do that, but we did it, and it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. Let's get to folks' comments, shall we? Because I'm sure people got stuff to say there on the old YouTube comments.
Yeah, so we got Luke Carnes. Thank you, Super Chat. Thank you for this hour of fun. Been a rough day and love having transplants to fill my mind. Cheers.
We're here for you, Luke.
Then we got a nuclear family. The Packers, Rams, 49ers, Broncos, and Bengals offenses have not been good as expected. Do you think the Shanahan scheme has been figured out?
I talked about this a little bit on Daily. I think somewhat only because teams are playing so much too high that these guys don't want to stick with the run the way they should to get guys out of the too high shell. So I think, as the season progresses, you'll see a bit of a shift there. I do not doubt for a moment. I can't imagine Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur, etc. just get completely owned all season long. No, maybe they do, but I doubt it. I tend to doubt it. We'll see.
Steve Snyder, LaFleur's inability to adjust or pivot mid-game, even during halftime, is really glaring through the years and getting increasingly concerning.
I don't know. Is winning 13 games every year concerning? I understand they're 3-3 right now, but,
You think they're going to win 13 games this year?
No, probably not, but let's let the season play out. I didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl the year they were, in 2010 when they lost back-to-back overtime games, and they ended up doing that. Who knows, man? We'll see.
I definitely thought we were going to win the Super Bowl, but that was 2010.
Because you always think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, if we don't go 13-3, I think we'll win the Super Bowl. So, exactly. Ryan Willie, and that's what I was trying to point out earlier, and Corey hit the bullseye. If the game keeps going through QB1, this team will struggle. If it keeps going through QB1, they won't make the playoffs. Well, we got no choice, buddy.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's about trying to find an identity. And he and Matt have both talked about that. And if they want to do what they're doing through 6 games, which has been very sporadic, you're probably right. We'll see.
J-Dome, any chance Barry gets fired in season?
No chance.
I don't think he gets fired at the end of the season.
I'd be absolutely shocked. This is Matt's handpicked dude. No, I'd be absolutely shocked.
Andrew Ware, this team has no identity. True story.
I couldn't agree more. What is it that they do well?
Story.
What can you hang your hat on? What is it that you say, this is what they're all about? Not a damn thing. I'm with you.
Wendy Vance, thanks for Super Chat. Instead of shouting "Go Pack Go" at the game, I started yelling "Run the ball." Maybe if the Packer fans started chanting this, especially since they took "Go Pack Go" away, they might start listening.
What's funny is we heard "Go Pack Go" like a billion times at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They played it like every chance they got. But at Lambeau, they never played it.
And they played it. What was funny is, so at Lambeau, they will play dun, dun, da, 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 dun. Then they'll play it like 3 times is the most they'll play it. But at Tottenham, they played it 4, and one time they played it 5 times in a row. Which is rare.
In a row.
That does not happen.
Right. Not
at
done.
Lambeau. I've never heard 5 times in a row "Go Pack Go" chant in Lambeau ever.
By the way, I want to give Wendy a shout out because I'm pretty sure she's the one who pointed out a couple weeks ago that every time the Packers call a timeout prior to a 3rd down and then come back out from the timeout, they get sacked. And that's happened literally every week since she pointed it out. So shout out Wendy.
Wow. Uncultured Barbarian. The hour is late when Behnke the Gray agrees with the uncultured Barbarian on Aaron Rodgers.
I love that we have Lord of the Rings fans up in here. It's so great. We're such nerds.
And then uncultured again. The most important question: when is your beer getting to northern Wisconsin?
Well,
northern. Here's the thing.
Wisconsin.
Here's the thing.
Right.
So literally, I tried to sign up a Green Bay event location, and we couldn't even sign up a Green Bay location because we keep selling out. And so, like, Gathering Place doesn't want to sign up anybody until we can give the beer to the people we've already told.
To the people we were already servicing. Right.
Now, I do think with 3 away games, I do think we'll be able to add more people. So, because we don't have a home game till November. So my hope is we can brew some more beer. I got to get with Joe at Gathering Place, but my hope is we can kind of get ahead a little bit before November hits because we've got these 3 away games.
And the rest center doesn't have to use as much. Exactly. Blah, blah, blah.
I'll be honest with you. Like the guy, I just saw a thing. So shout out to Gathering Place. They just opened a new Wauwatosa location, which as a small business owner myself, it's got to be hard to like come out with a new beer,
right?
Open
that's
a new
really
location.
Popular, and people are buying it all there, right?
Yeah,
a lot of balls in the air there at Gathering Place, no doubt.
Yeah, totally.
A lot to work on.
Then we got, but we're trying. The next place I need to get this beer to, in my opinion, is like Wausau and Eau Claire, because that's where we get, and La Crosse.
Yep.
Those are like the 3 places
West
that we
part.
get the most
Totally
we get the most like, why are you not in La Crosse? Corey
why
Krenz,
are you not out here? Right.
Rumors about trading for Claypool, good trade or bad idea?
It's fine. I've said all week. I mean, I know every year people talk about the trade deadline, and most seasons I'll say I give it a 10% chance. This year, I'll bump it up to 30. I think there's a 30% chance they actually make a trade. And Claypool's a fine player. Sure, bring him in, but I still highly doubt it happens.
Brandon, shout out to Nags and his mom's impact. He was very real about that, and I know it's not easy, but sounded like she had an impact on the world.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Definitely Northeast Wisconsin for sure. Everybody who I know in my family knew your mom, and my family didn't even know your family. Like my Aunt Nancy, she knew your mom really well.
Nancy was there on Monday. It was really lovely to see her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Brandon. It's really, really appreciated. Thank you.
Too old for this. Sometimes watching Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers try to run an offense feels like watching Steven Seagal on SNL.
I mean, I got nothing to add to that, but that's phenomenal. That is great. Let's give a shout out to our Patreon members. Patreon members, you are absolutely thebomb.com. Can't thank you guys enough for supporting Cheesehead TV. If you want to support Cheesehead TV, head to patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. Happy hour was great this week. Sorry, Corey couldn't join. He was in Japan. I think he was actually in transit from Japan, but it's so much fun. Thank you so much. And if you're here on the YouTube channel and you see people with green on their name and or like emojis with Corey and myself, you can join the Carry the G Club. That's what that's all about. Another way to support Cheesehead TV. You don't got to belong to both. You can. People do. But both support Cheesehead TV. We really appreciate the support. Carry the G Club members. You're the bomb.com as well. You got anything else, Corey?
No, I just, we gotta keep this. We gotta just get better.
Got to win a game. We got to win a game. These back-to-back loss thing. I'm not about all that life. I mean, I know Matt hasn't done it yet, and this is the first time. But okay, enough. We've experienced it. I remember what it feels like. I would like to be excluded from this narrative. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's in honor of T Swift coming out at midnight. So there we go. That'll do it for this episode of Packer Transplants Live. We'd like to thank everyone who makes Cheesehead TV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
I think it's a fluid situation, and I know you guys love it, especially Nagler. I can see you smirking at me right there. We're going to take it one day at a time, and it's going to be fluid, though. That's all I can tell you.